What was it this time? This wound is deeper than the others. It's going to leave another scar. Not that you'd notice. Bruce. Today on the Comic Book Report, Batman, 3 Jokers. Stick around and check it out. Greetings from Gotham, everyone. My name is Dominic, and you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And at long last, I'm finally taking a look at Geoff Johns' Batman 3 Jokers from DC Comics. The art is gorgeous, and this has a storyline I've been very curious about for a while. I finally decided to pull the trigger and pick up this volume, and I'm really happy I did. Before we dive into today's review, I just want to say if you're looking for collected editions, I encourage you to check out our channel sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. If you use my code, TheComicBookReport, at checkout, you can save $2 off your order today. Using my affiliate code or links does earn me a small commission, but it's a great way to support the channel. Now let's dive into today's review. First, some quick facts about today's collection. The issues in this volume were written by Geoff Johns and illustrated by Jason Fabok. The issues in this volume were published by DC Comics beginning in 2020 as part of their Black Label collection. The volume itself collects Batman 3 Jokers, issues 1 through 3. And finally, this standard size hardcover comes in at 160 pages. At this time, I'd like to issue a general spoiler warning. I will be flipping through the contents of today's collection and commenting on plot points throughout. You've been advised. Okay, and here's our first look at Batman 3 Jokers. I have to say right from the jump, I love the cover design for this. I love the under the dust jacket artwork, which I'll show you in a moment. Overall, the presentation of this book is just superb. Really like the packaging. I love the blacks, the greens, the purples. It definitely screams Joker. A very well-made little standard size hardcover edition here. I mean, just look at the back cover of the dust jacket. Just a gritty, intense, sinister looking picture of Batman. Again, I saw the look of this whole book and I immediately wanted to dive in. And after we finish our look at the back cover, I'll go ahead and transition to one final look at the dust jacket, the flaps, before showing you a look at the under the dust jacket artwork for Batman 3 Jokers. Really can't wait to show you that. Then we'll take a quick look at the binding. It is a glued binding, but at least on my end, it seems to be put together very well. I would have preferred to see sewn, but this is a smaller collection, and so far it looks like it's going to be holding up great. Some of you might be asking about the canon nature of this storyline, and all I can find is that I'm not 100% sure that this is an in-canon story. It sounds like some people believe it to be, like Geoff Johns, but the actual canon nature of this might be a little bit TBD. I know that this is part of DC's Black Label imprint, which they do a lot of non-canon stories with, but that doesn't mean this is explicitly non-canon. Yeah, this under the dust jacket artwork is incredible. The green and the purple, just that insidious Joker face, absolutely wild. What a collection. As far as when you should be able to read Batman 3 Jokers, that's again a little bit harder to say, especially since I'm not 100% sure whether or not this is a canon storyline. I will say personally, story arcs I recommend reading before picking this up if you're able to, or if you want to skim a plot synopsis, things like that. I think you would definitely be rewarded if you have read stories like Batman Death in the Family, Batman Under the Red Hood, and Batman the Killing Joke. I think that those are all pretty foundational storylines that this story seems to draw from and be built upon. I think even dramatically and as far as the character conflicts go and things like that, a lot of the stakes and a lot of the things that are set up in some of those previous stories kind of come into fruition in different ways throughout 3 Jokers. So while you could pick up Batman 3 Jokers and certainly enjoy it just as a standalone work, I think if you've read Death in the Family, Under the Red Hood, and The Killing Joke, it'll make it that much fuller of an experience. And as we dive into the collection proper, I do want to provide a bit more context for Batman 3 Jokers, especially just so you can have an idea of what this collection is even about. Apparently, after the events of the Darkseid War story arc, Batman is aware that there is 3 separate Jokers. I haven't read that story arc, I'm not sure how much it's required. I didn't feel like I needed it at all, but apparently that's where they first announced this idea that there are actually 3 Jokers. At any rate, again, I feel like it's much more important to read Death in the Family, Under the Red Hood, and The Killing Joke. I think most notably, The Killing Joke feels like a visual inspiration for this work. There's a lot of just classic 9-panel storytelling in the comic book layouts that are very evocative of Alan Moore's The Killing Joke. The basic synopsis for this storyline is Batman goes back to the Batcave, is kind of stumbling in with a new injury. This time he's been stabbed by the Penguin's umbrella, and Alfred's kind of stitching him up. We see all of his scars from all of his battles that Alfred's kind of helped him with, and he's reminiscing on all his history, fighting all of his villains, and ultimately remembering the night his parents died. While Bruce is remembering all of this stuff, he hears a news broadcast that the Joker has committed some other new ghastly crime, but we find out on this night there are basically 3 simultaneous Joker attacks all throughout Gotham that seem to have occurred simultaneously, leading the cops and Batman's Bat family to suspect that there might be some copycat Jokers going around. Basically, this gets the attention primarily of Batman, Batgirl, and Red Hood, Jason Todd. All 3 of them end up sort of following different crimes that happen throughout the night before banding together to sort of figure out what's going on and to catch these 3 Jokers. I think for me, there's some really good dramatic work being done, at least with the setup of the storyline. We have Batman remembering all of his past wars against all of these criminals. He's remembering the past with his family. He's remembering his history with the Joker. And then we also have Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, remembering the events of The Killing Joke, where she is crippled, shot from the Joker. We have Jason Todd remembering when he was brutally murdered by the Joker before coming back to life. So we really get to see this extremely personal place and motivation for the crime fighting in 3 Jokers from these primary characters. My only real critique here is that the foundation for a truly gripping character dynamic is all here for us, but I feel like it's almost underserved or underutilized. I think that they could have pushed all of this much, much further, especially given all of our heroes' backstories with the Joker. At any rate, the 3 of these Bat heroes, again, Batman, Batgirl, and Red Hood, start looking for the Jokers and or the Joker copycats, as they sometimes think of them while they're trying to figure out the mystery. We know as the audience that these Jokers are basically effectively broken down as the comedian, the criminal, and the clown. I really like this breakdown. It seemed to speak to kind of an inherent aspect that we see of the Joker in a lot of his history, and the idea that they were actually 3 individuals rather than 3 facets within the Joker was definitely an interesting development, an interesting way to view these characters, and I think overall it was really effective. We have at one point, Jason Todd ends up capturing one of the Jokers and shooting him in the head, murdering him. So right away we lose one of the Jokers, and now we have the remaining 2. No one knows who is the, air quotes, real Joker, or if it's always been like this. They discover throughout the storyline that these 3 Jokers were actually working together, orchestrating their broader idea to basically create even more Jokers. There was 3 of them, now there's 2 after Jason Todd, but we're led to believe that they're essentially trying to fabricate more Jokers that each have a different aspect of the Joker personality type. Sometime after Red Hood executes one of the Jokers, he's actually captured by the 2 remaining Jokers, and you're kind of led to believe he's going to be tortured and used to become another Joker, perhaps the 3rd Joker. Ultimately, Batman and Batgirl end up saving him. He doesn't succumb, but he's really rattled. He's mentally kind of scarred from the whole ordeal. Batgirl and him sort of have a caring moment where they actually share a kiss, and Jason sort of catches feelings, and Batgirl seems to be a bit confused or maybe not interested in the same way. This is all narratively being done while they're also trying to pursue the remaining Jokers. We find out that the kind of masterstroke at the very end of this arc being that the Jokers are trying to also get Joe Chill to become a Joker, to basically become the ultimate nemesis for Batman. This kind of leads you to believe that, yes, the Joker knows who Batman is, maybe knows who the Bat family is, and is just trying to do this psychotic crime to basically turn Joe Chill into the ultimate nemesis for Batman, having both killed his family and then, becoming his arch villain. Batman is actually put in a position where he has to learn to kind of forgive Joe Chill. He actually saves his life, and then ultimately the two remaining Jokers, one kills the other one, so there's now only one Joker remaining again. He gets kind of carted away with Batman, basically saying, yeah, did I make him or did he make me? I know who the three of you are. I'll never tell. This is our game. He basically said he orchestrated this master crime where he wasn't even trying to create a Joe Chill Joker like he told the rest of the Jokers, but actually he was using this as an opportunity to heal Batman's, Bruce Wayne's greatest wound, being the crime against his parents, so that now he's freed up to have the Joker be the person in his life who's caused him the greatest pain. This is kind of his ultimate punchline, the ultimate joke here, and the idea is that Batman is almost unconcerned. The epilogue to the story is essentially that Batman has actually always been aware of who the Joker is, that he actually has a wife and child, but that he's kind of keeping that from the Joker, and he doesn't want to know details, or he doesn't want anyone to know the Joker's name, because that's the only way that that family can be kept safe. We also have kind of a sweet memorial for Joe Chill. He passes away due to disease, writes Bruce Wayne a note. It's really kind of a tender, interesting epilogue to end the story. I think the storyline sounds kind of bonkers when I'm just explaining it, and maybe I'm not doing it justice, because when you read it, it comes across much better than I'm explaining it, but it's a really interesting story that bobbed and weaved in ways I did not expect. I could easily see this becoming maybe a Batman classic in some ways. I don't know that it's up to the caliber of some of his other historically great works, but this is certainly a vital part in the Batman mythos, whether or not it's even canon. I do think that one of the most defining features about this whole story, Batman the Three Jokers, has to be the visuals by Jason Fabok. The art in this is absolutely astounding. There's kind of realistic detail. The character models are all uniquely crafted and absolutely distinctive and wonderful. The coloring is great. Like I said, the kind of visual homage we get to The Killing Joke as far as the paneling layout and some of the rain and some of the symmetry that they try to do with these works is really impressive to me. Geoff Johns is just absolutely knocking it out of the park as far as the dialogue and just the overall structure of the storytelling. I really enjoyed my time with Batman 3 Jokers. It was actually better than I even hoped it would be. My only drawbacks are, again, this is a 3-issue miniseries that I think could have at least been a 6 to 8 issue. I would have loved to see more nuanced with the character relationships, especially where the three main characters, Batman, Batgirl, and Red Hood, related to one another and to the Joker. I think that we get enough of that, but it was definitely kind of an iceberg situation where I knew there was so much more under the surface, and I would have just loved to see more of that play out in this book. I think especially with how rich like Under the Red Hood and The Killing Joke are as far as providing Batgirl and Red Hood respectively with motivations to fight this fight, I think that we just could have had a couple more explosive interactions between some of these characters and how they related to the Joker. All the foundation was there. I was already so heavily invested, and what we got here is still excellent. I just wanted more. I just wanted to see more. I also think that this is definitely a collection that would be great in an oversized format, because again, the art is outstanding. I love the 9-panel layouts we get at different points throughout this book, but to see those in an even larger format, to see even more of the richness of this detail, it might be worthwhile. And I think if that comes out for people down the road, it might even be worth an upgrade or a double dip, because the art is truly outstanding. At the back of the book, you can see some of the cover art here. Again, just gorgeous, really indicative of what we see throughout the book itself. A really, really great read. I highly enjoyed it and was really thankful to have read it. And as we're nearing the end of today's collection, before I go ahead and give this a grade, I did want to do a side-by-side comparison with The Killing Joke so you can see what I've been referring to when I've talked about some of the visual homages, that 9-panel layout that is really just screaming, hey, this is reminding us of The Killing Joke. So here's my copy of the Killing Joke hardcover next to the Batman 3 Jokers hardcover we've been reviewing today. I just want to do a quick little sampling so you can see what I mean when I say this was very intentionally an homage to the Killing Joke. Some people are calling it sequel-esque. I don't know that I would go that far, but again, still really rich. I love the comparisons. And now that we've taken a look at that, we can go ahead, wrap up this segment, and start giving this collection a grade. For a fantastic ensemble of primary characters, an intriguing storyline, and some of the most gorgeous superhero artwork I've seen in a hot minute, the Comic Book Report is happy to give Batman 3 Jokers a B+. I shouldn't doubt Geoff Johns at this point, and yet still, this collection was better than I hoped it would be. I think that there are ways this could have earned an A from me. I would have loved to see more character work done, especially with Jason Todd and Barbara Gordon, and how they related to the Jokers. But I think what we have in this collection is still outstanding. I really am happy it exists. And I feel I would comfortably recommend this to just about any Batman fan out there, particularly if you've already read The Killing Joke, Under the Red Hood, and Death in the Family. Let me know in the comments if you've read Batman 3 Jokers, and that's going to do it today for the Comic Book Report. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and until next time, have a good one.